स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste, my dear friends. This is video number 30 on Viveka Chudamani of Adi Sankaracharya. This video starts with the topic there is no plurality, and it starts with verse number 465. परिपूर्णम् आदन्त परमेय विक्रियम् एकमेव अद्वयम् ब्रह्म निः नानास्ति किंचन. Only Brahma there is, non-dual, with no beginning or end, incomparable and changeless. In it there is no duality whatsoever. That which is ever full with nothing else in it, Pripurna, therefore the one without a second, without beginning or end, and Adi Antam means without birth and death. The Mandukya Karika in the final analysis, Asango Ahem, Asango Ahem, Asango Ahem, Pune Pune, Satchidanand Rupo Ahem, Ahemeva Mavya. Gaudapada also comes to declare this universal truth. Ne nirodho ne chotasni baddho ne sadhake ne mumukse ve mukte itipya pramarthata. Incomparable a parmeya. There is nothing that can compare with it, because it is beyond the realm of the BMI and their OET. Since it is unique, it cannot be compared with any of the experiences in the lower planes of consciousness. Briefly speaking, it is transcendental. Similarly, it is changeless in as much as it never undergoes any modifications. A parinami Brahma is one without a second, ekam swagata bhedar abhita vastu, and is non-dual, advayam meaning sajatiya vijatiya bhedrahita vastu, to remove any lingering doubt that there may be an exception. The most powerful word kinchana, kinchidapi, is used by Sankara. It has the full force of the English word whatsoever. Verse 466. Sadghanam chidghanam nitya anand ghan kriyam ekam ve advyam brahmnih nasti kischan. The essence of existence, the essence of knowledge, the essence of eternal bliss, non-dual, devoid of any activity. There is only Brahma. In it there is no duality whatsoever. The nature of Brahma is discussed here, since it is the theme for the next few verses. The nature of the self cannot be defined, but it can be indicated in terms of its expression in the gross, subtle, and causal bodies during its corresponding waking, dream, and deep sleep conditions. In the gross body, it can be said to be that which expresses as its existence. In the subtle body, that which expresses as intelligence or knowledge, and in the causal body, that which expresses as bliss, Sat Chit Ananda. This is a famous term used in the Upanishads to indicate Brahma. The self is a mass of existence, Sat Ghana. We generally know only the existence of things and beings, but really speaking, when we say that a tree exists, we refer to the existence in the tree. The existence in the tree is the existence in the stone, in the animal, in the human. This existence, which is the common factor in all things that exist, is called Sat. The mass of existence is Brahma, that which is a sense of pure intelligence, Chit Ghana, by which an intelligent man expresses himself, his intelligence in the self, the consciousness of life. Where life exists, there is intelligence. Where life is extinct, there is no intelligence. This principle of intelligence is the same in the scientist and in the artist, in the saint and in the sinner, in the criminal and in the animal, nay, even in the plant and the unicellular organism. That which expresses as intelligence everywhere is indicated here as a mass of intelligence, Chitghana, that which is of the nature of eternal bliss. Ananda Ghana, Ananda is bliss. When the mind is not agitated, there is the experience of joy. Lesser the agitations, greater the joy. Naturally, therefore, when you have transcended the mind, the state should be in terms of the mind supreme happiness. On the mind intellect level, there is the concept of time, and therefore every experience is changeable and variable. This bliss, supreme since it is experienced beyond the mind, cannot be conditioned by time. Therefore, it is eternal bliss, Nitya Ananda, without activity, a kriyam. In the presence of the self activities take place, but in these activities it is not involved. The sun illumines the world, the dynamic activities of which go on unmolested, but the sun is not involved in them in any way. So too, this mass of existence, knowledge, bliss, the self is not involved in any of the activities of the cosmos. This self alone is real. Indeed, there is no duality in it whatsoever. Verse 467. प्रत्यगेकर्षं पूर्णम् अनन्तं सर्वतोमुखम् एकमेव अद्वयं ब्रह्मणि न नास्ति किंचन. The subject within all, non-dual, homogeneous, endless, all-pervading. There is one Brahma, in it there is no duality whatsoever. The Brahma is not an object but is the very subjective core, the essence in each individual Pratyak. It knows no change and so ever remains in the same nature. Eka Rasa. आत्म चैतन्यम आश्रित है देह इंद्रिय मनोधिय Savkriyathesu vartante suryalokam yatha janah, depending upon the energy or vitality of consciousness, the body, senses, mind, and intellect engage themselves in their respective activities just as men work depending upon the light of the sun. Atam Bodha, verse 20. Therefore, commentators interpret a kriyam as srishtiyadi kriya sunyam, meaning it is without any change or modification and knows no destruction. All full Purnam, there is nothing in it except itself. So no distinction in it is ever possible. It is endless in as much as it is unborn and therefore undying. That which is birthless and deathless is not only changeless but also infinite, whose face is everywhere, Sarvata Mukham. It is all pervading and therefore never can we reach a point in the cosmos where it is not. It being the very consciousness and the life in each one of us. This Brahma, the Self alone is. Indeed, in it there can be no duality whatsoever. Stanza 468. अहे यमनु पादे मना दे मना आश्रयम एकमेवा अद्वयम ब्रह्मणे नानास्ति किश्चन. That which is to be neither shunned nor taken up nor accepted, that which is non-dual and without sport, there is one Brahma. In it there is no duality whatsoever. The very essence in all can never be rejected, nor can it be accepted. You can only accept or reject a thing which is other than you. It is one's own real nature and hence can neither be rejected nor accepted. You cannot say, I have met me, nor can you say, I have not met me. I am, that's all. The self is the ultimate subject, one's own nature, Atma Savrupam Vat. How can I jump onto my own shoulders? That which has no superimposition, unadayam. In this Brahma there is no non-apprehension and consequently no superimpositions. Reality is pure and is untouched by the vehicles of matter and their projection. With no sport, unasriyam, what is the abode of Brahma? It is its abode. There is only one Brahma with no duality in it. Stanza number 469. Nirgunam, Niskalam, Suksam, Nirvikalpam, Niranjanam, Ekmeva Advyam, Brahmnehe Nanasti Christian. With no qualities or parts, it is subtle, without disturbances, and taintless. There is one Brahma. In it there is no duality whatsoever. Without any qualities or properties, nirguna, anything that has properties is perishable. All finite things have properties. If there be an infinite reality which is imperishable. It cannot be a substance. If it is not a substance, it cannot have properties. Without parts, Niskala, it is one without a second. It is infinite. In the infinite, there cannot be any parts. If there are parts, there should be something other than the infinite which conditions it. No more than is it infinite. Subtle, Sukshma, because of its all pervasiveness, without any thoughts and agitations, nirvikalpa, because the mind and intellect have been transcended, taintless, niranjanaha, because there are no vasanas in it. This great reality is one alone without any plurality. Stanza 470. Aniruppय स्वरूपम यन्मनो वाचा गोचरम एकमेव अद्वयं ब्रह्मणि नानास्ति किंचन. The real nature of which is incomprehensible, which is beyond mind and speech and non-dual. There is only Brahma in it, there is no duality whatsoever. Incomprehensible, Anirupaya Brahma has an incomprehensible nature. It is imperceptible through the organs of perception and comprehension. You can have only mediate knowledge. It is not an object, so it cannot be perceived by the sense organs. There are very many things in the world which we cannot perceive through our sense organs. Love, mathematical formulae, the veracity of scientific truths, etc. They are comprehended by our mind and intellect. But the self is that where even mind and speech cannot reach. Mano vacham agocharam. The supreme reality is that which cannot be perceived through the mediation of the instruments of sense organs, nor through the mediation of the mind and the intellect. It is not a mediate knowledge, it is immediate knowledge, it is subjective realization. Truth is the non-dual Brahma. There is truly no plurality in it. Stanza 471. Satsamardham Savatah Siddham Shuddham Buddhmani Drishyam Ekmeva Advyam Brahm Nihi Nanasti Kischane. Self-existing, self-evident, pure intelligence, unlike anything finite, non-dual, there is only one Brahma. In it, there is no plurality whatsoever. This great reality is full of Sat, pure existence. It is not gained by the intervention of any equipment. It is self-existing, it is self-evident. It is not an object which can be established by any proof. Your existence need not be proved. You are everything else you can prove or disapprove, but that you are needs no proof. Pure Shuddham, because there is nothing other than it in it. Intelligence, Buddham, is the very nature of truth. It is knowledge absolute, not like these. Anidrishyam, these means the experiences that we live at these moments in the finite realism It is not like the objects, emotions, and thoughts. This great truth is something unique. It is Vilakshana, not like any of things we know. This Brahma is verily one without a second. In it there is no pluralistic phenomenon. Experiences of selfhood. Verse 472 to 479. Verse 472. Nirastraga vinisto bhoga shanta sudanta yat yo mahan vigyay tattvam parmetadante praptah pram nirvarti atam yogat. Noble hearted renunciates who are rid of attachments, who have given up all sense enjoyments, who are calm and controlled, realize this supreme truth, and at the end began bliss supreme as a result of their self realization. Having explained the nature of reality, the teacher gives some practical suggestions for students who are trying to experience the Supreme. Here, practical methods for sadhana are being advised. Those in whom all desires are withdrawn, nirastragaha, all desires for sense indulgences set, vinerstambhogaha, the idea of indulging and seeking a fulfillment in the world outside is completely set asta in his mind, whose mind has become serene, santaha, shantaha, whose mind is no more rushing into the world of objects since it is established in the contemplation of the Lord. Those who are not allowing their minds to enter into the remembrances of past indulgences, Sudantaha, those high souled people, Mahantaha, those who are putting forth the efforts, Yataha, those who have completely controlled their sense organs and mind and have apprehended reality within themselves reach supreme peace and contentment at the end of their prarabdha karma. There will be such all enveloping bliss absolute into which they merge that there are no more vasanas to excite their minds to run towards the OET in order to seek fulfillment. Stanza 473. Bhavan Pidam Partatvam Atman Svarupmanand Ghanam Vicharya Vidhuya Moham Saumanah Parikalpitam Muktah Kirtartho Bhavatu Prabudha. You to discriminate thus, be established in this surpassing truth, the real nature of the Atman, which is bliss absolute, and shaking off the delusion created by your own mind, be liberated and illumined and reach the fulfillment of your life. In the early part of the text, the Guru had promised the student who had surrendered at his feet by saying, Fear not, O intelligent boy, there is no danger for you. For crossing the ocean of sansar, there is a method. I shall prescribe to you that path by which all others have crossed this sansar in the past. By the time Sankara came to verse 471. He finished prescribing the path to the disciple. Now he says, Thou too, O learned one, having directly experienced this supreme self, which is of the nature of bliss absolute, go completely beyond the pluralistic world, which is a projection of thy own mind. The BMI, PFT, and OET are not the self. We have the idea that we are them. This is a delusion. Having removed this delusion, he who has awakened to the higher plane of consciousness is liberated from all weaknesses of mortals. Adhyasa Rupa Handaha Mukta. May you too become fulfilled, fully awakened to the higher plane of consciousness. Verse number 474. Samadhina sadhu vinischal atmana tasya atam tattvam safut bodh chaksusa nisansayam samme gave aksitasche छत पदार्थों ने पुनर्विकल्पयते. Perceive the nature of the self with the eye of perfect knowledge through samadhi, where the mind has been brought to complete quietude. If the declarations of Shruti heard from the teacher are perfectly understood without a trace of doubt, it can lead to no more skepticism. A steady mind is one which does not oscillate under the fascination of objects, emotions, and thoughts. The mind which is steadily trained to withdraw from the storms of passions of the OET and which has come to rest quietly in single pointed contemplation of the non dual Brahma sees the reality. Seeing here does not mean seeing with the eyes. When you see a thing with your eyes, you have no doubt about its existence. A quietened mind apprehends reality beyond all doubt, and hence it is said it sees. The mind sees this great self with the clear eye of knowledge. Clear eye of knowledge means with steady mind and intellect. The contemplative mind develops intuitive power by which it comes to apprehend the reality. Till there is such an experience, there will be doubts. All traces of doubt are dispelled only when one apprehends this great truth. If you have understood the theme of the scriptures, Stuti Padartha, that is the meaning of the Mahavakyas, you have an intellectual appreciation of the self. Therefore, when you experience reality, your knowledge of the scriptures will be confirmed. Stanza 475. सौचा विद्या बंध संबंध मोक्षा तत्सत्य ज्ञान आनंद रूपा लब्धो शास्त्रम युक्ति युक्ति देशिको उक्ति प्रमाणम चांत है सिद्धा स्वानुभूति प्रमाणम. When the self, the existence, knowledge, bliss is realized through liberation from one's bondage of ignorance, then the scriptures, logical reasoning, the words of the teacher, these are proofs. The subjective experience of one's own concentrated mind is yet another proof. Liberation is defined as liberation from the bondage of one's contact with the non-apprehension. Avidya bandha sambandha mokshaha. When there are misapprehensions, one is bound to identify with them. This is the sorrowful condition of the jiva. To be free from these conditions is to be liberated. Avidya can be ended only on the apprehension of reality, the Atma, which is of the nature of Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Truth, Satyam, is that which remains the same in all the three periods of time. Pure knowledge, Jnanam, in the light of which all other kinds of knowledge are possible. Endless, infinite, Anantam, the authorities from which knowledge of the self is gained are one, the Shastras, Shruti, the Upanishads, which are the recorded declarations of man of realization. Two, argumentation and logical thinking. Yukti, and three, words of the learned master. Deshikohutti, by reading books and by logic. To some extent, one can understand, but the words of the learned teacher help us to grasp the theme thoroughly. If what you have read and understood by logical thinking and what has been told to you by the teacher are all in one line, then you have caught the plan. But even these are not quite sufficient. The final takeoff is one's experience of reality. Verse 476. बंधो मोक्षश्च तृप्तिश्च चिंता रोगे अक्षुदा यदय सवे नैव वेद्दा यज्जानम परसेमा अनुमानिकम. Bondage and liberation, contentment and anxiety, health, hunger, etc. are known only by the person concerned. Others have knowledge of these by mere inference. Our experiences of bondage, liberation, and contentment are just like our worries, health, hunger, etc. These are to be experienced by each individual himself. My hunger you cannot experience. My worries you can never understand. For your ill health I will not take medicine. Others can only infer, but they cannot live my experience. Everyone has to live his own. This is a sporting verse for the term Samanubhutihi in the previous verse. Just as physical pains and hungers can be known only through subjective experience, so too reality has to be experienced by each one individually. As long as theirs tell us about it, we can only imagine what it could be like. But knowledge will come only through a direct experience. Stanza 477. तटस्थिता बोधयन्ति गुरवः श्रुतयो यथा प्रज्ञयैव त्रिदिव्य अनीश्वर अनुगृहीतया. Standing apart, the teachers and the scriptures instruct the disciple. The man of realization crosses over a vidya by illumination and the grace of God. The Upanishads and the teachers standing apart can only indicate the truth. They do not stand apart from truth. They stand apart from us, the disciples. When the teacher advises the disciple, it is indirect knowledge for the student. Anumana, the teacher declares it, the Upanishads declare it, but it is not the disciple's own experience. Taking these as an authority or guidance, the intelligent disciples go beyond because of their own illumination and with the grace of the Lord. Anugraha means grace. Hence, the spiritual vasanas must be cultivated, spiritual practices must be undertaken for many years. One who controls, regulates, and orders everything in the cosmos is called Iswara, the Lord. He is the Lord in each one of us. Our own vasanas determine, order, regulate, and control our lives. Hence, our vasanas are our Lord. Thus, truth can be experienced only by the student who has done sadhana for a sufficiently long time. He who has created spiritual vasanas can bless himself. Such an individual crosses sansar by his own illumination. When he studies and thinks independently and is helped by his teacher from time to time. Stanza 478. स्वानुभूत्या स्वं ज्ञात्वा स्वम आत्मना खंडितं संसिद्ध सम्मुखं तिष्ठे अनि कल्पातं आत्मनि. Knowing his own absolute self through realization, becoming perfect, a man should stand face to face before the Atma with mind free from all concepts of dualism. The self is apprehended in yourself by yourself. When the unagitated intellect is rendered steady, one can sit face to face with one's self in one's self by one's self. To sit face to face is to become one with. When you have moved away from sleep and dream, you are face to face with the waker. When you have moved away from the BMI, PFT, OET, you are face to face with Brahma. Stanza 479. वेदांत सिद्धांत निरुतिरेशः ब्रह्मैव जीवः सकल्पं जगश्च अखंड रूप स्थितिरेव मोक्षो ब्रह्मादिवित्ये श्रुतेः प्रमाणम्. The final opinion of all Vedantic discussions is that the Jiva as well as the entire universe are Brahma alone. That liberation means to be rooted in Brahma, the indivisible entity. The statement that Brahma is non-dual has its authority in Shruti. The Upanishads form the essence of the teachings of the Vedas. of which they are the concluding portions. Hence, the Upanishads are known by the term Vedanta. Concluding the address, the teacher summarizes his instructions to the disciple in this verse. The conclusions arrived at in the Upanishads briefly are 1. Jiva, the individuality is Brahma alone. 2. Jagat, the world of plurality is also Brahma. And 3. The state of experience of this one reality where there is no duality is liberation. When the dreamer merges with the waker, the dream world also merges into the waking world. That is the liberation of the dreamer. Similarly, the seeker by sadhana merges with the infinitude. The absence of plurality is the experience of reality. The authority for the above conclusions is Shruti, the Upanishads themselves. So at this stage I conclude this video. Thank you for watching this video. Namaskar my dear friends. Thank you.